Let's get you more perspective now on the politics of masks here in the United States. My colleague, Rochelle Akufa, spoke to Joe Minarik via Zoom. He's Senior Vice President and Director of the Research Committee for Economic Development. Rochelle began by asking him the economic impact if the U.S. were to have a national mask mandate implemented.
Well, the one thing we know, Rochelle, is just about any economic forecaster will tell you, if you want to know what the path of the economy is going to be, tell me first what the path of the pandemic is going to be. We're extremely dependent upon the ability of people to go back to work, for individuals to go back to shopping, and to get the economy moving again. And the one thing that our experts are telling us is if everybody wore a mask, we would be a lot safer. So you're talking about two things, really. Number one, can the economy reopen? And number two, even if the businesses are open, will individuals be comfortable going out and going to the restaurant, going to the retail store, etc.? People can take the economy into their own hands. If they don't feel comfortable, they stay home and they don't spend money. So it's pretty clear that one thing we could do is get people to act responsibly and to make the practices that keep us all safe.
So then, without a national mandate, which sectors are really calling the loudest for some sort of federal guidance on this?
I've seen requests from retail establishments. Some of them are figuratively voting with their feet. Walmart, putting in place a mask mandate in their stores. Several others have done the same. So one of the issues that has been raised in those instances is you have the retail store, somebody walks in without a mask and says, I am exercising my freedom and I am not going to wear a mask. What do? If they have a public pronouncement, an enforceable public pronouncement that says that they can call for backup and get the support that they need to enforce that mandate, then people are going to have to think twice about refusing to comply.
So then when you look at other countries that have got some sort of national mandate and penalties attached, how are those economies performing?
Well, right now, we seem to be lagging the pack in terms of the pandemic. It's, of course, a dynamic situation. We're counting cases, hospitalizations lag cases, fatalities lag hospitalizations. People react to all of those indicators in terms of their willingness either to go back to work or to go back to consuming. So we are behind the pack in terms of our ability to move along. How long that's going to continue, exactly what the path of the pandemic is, we don't know. The one thing we do know is we could bend the curves downward if everybody practiced safe public health.
One of the things that has made it difficult, particularly in the US, is that wearing a mask has become this political hot button issue. And unfortunately, there is that domino effect. If people don't feel comfortable, they don't spend, then the jobs don't come back at a faster pace. So with that domino effect, as the Federal Reserve is watching all this, what's their take on it?
The Federal Reserve has expressed itself in the way that the Federal Reserve typically does when you're talking about issues that are outside of its legal mandate. The Fed has been subject to a lot of political rock throwing in recent years over a lot of issues, going back to well before the pandemic set in. So the Fed does tend to be relatively reticent about issues that do not relate to monetary policy and rates of inflation and economic growth. What you're seeing now is, in a cautious way, several members of the Board of Governors speaking in different volumes, different intensity about how they believe that wearing masks and following good public health practices would be beneficial for the economy. So they're trying to tag it to their mission. They're trying to stay in their lanes. They're trying not to make pronouncements that are technically sophisticated so that they get crosswise with our real medical advisors, but they are trying to express themselves on this issue.
And why do you think the government isn't getting more involved in pushing ahead with a national mandate on masks?
I think we're getting into the point that you made a moment ago, which is that somehow people interpret this as a political statement. And it's really kind of sad. I think if you imagine that someone in a position of political authority were to say, I don't think that drunk driving is a good thing to do, but we're going to repeal all drunk driving laws, and everybody should, use their freedom to do the right thing and not drive drunk. If that were to happen, we'd think that we're absurd. Now we're in a situation where some people are interpreting wearing a mask as taking one political position or another. We've seen a number of political actors on both sides of the aisle being very forceful and very clear about how important it is that we wear masks, maintain social distance, and so on. So if everybody would get in line, and if we would recognize the importance of this practice to maintaining the public health, I think we'd all be better off.